俾張合約叫我簽，或者李小龍想同我合作一部戲，我咪簽咯。簽咗而家都冇。
Untold story of Bruce Lee, and Shih Kien Bruce Lee, and Shih Kien. You know Shih Kien as the formidable Han, but behind the scenes, he was more than a villain. He was a mentor, a master, and a man who saw something in Bruce that few others did. This isn't just about a film. It's about a clash of generations, philosophies, and the quiet truths that define their bond. From a spontaneous sparring moment to a haunting prophecy in a makeup room, we'll uncover what really happened between these two legends. So grab a seat, hit that subscribe button, and let's explore the untold story of Bruce Lee and the man he couldn't defeat. Not in combat, but in the battle against time itself. Are you ready? Let's get started. A meeting of masters. In 1973, Enter the Dragon didn't just hit theaters. It detonated, reshaping martial arts and cinema forever. At its core were Bruce Lee, the blazing star of a new era, and Shih Kien, the seasoned veteran whose presence anchored the film in tradition. Their on-screen clash as hero and villain is legendary, but the real story unfolded off-camera, in moments of respect, sparring, and quiet understanding that revealed the depth of their connection. Shih Kien, known to millions as the ruthless Han, was no ordinary co-star. At 60, he was a pillar of Hong Kong cinema, with over 100 films and a mastery of traditional martial arts like Hung Gar and Choi Li Fut. His movements were precise, measured, and steeped in decades of discipline. Bruce, at 32, was a force of nature. His Jeet Kune Do philosophy stripped away ritual for raw, explosive efficiency. Their meeting on set wasn't just a collaboration. It was a collision of two worlds, two generations, and two visions of martial arts. Shih Kien's career began in the 1940s, when Hong Kong's film industry was a gritty, vibrant hub. He played villains with a quiet menace, his minimal movements conveying power that didn't need flash. Bruce, by contrast, was redefining martial arts with modern intensity. His kicks were lightning, his philosophy a rebellion against tradition. Yet, despite their differences, an immediate bond formed, rooted in a shared connection to Bruce's father, Lee Hoi Chen, a Cantonese opera star Shih Kien had known decades earlier. On set, Bruce called him Uncle Kien, a term of respect reflecting Chinese tradition, while Shih Kien called Bruce nephew, a nod to their familial tie. This dynamic softened the intensity of the production, creating a space for mutual learning. One moment from the set became the stuff of legend, later confirmed by Shih Kien in rare interviews. During a break, the two masters engaged in an impromptu sparring session, not for the cameras, but for themselves. It wasn't about ego. It was a conversation in motion. Bruce, testing his speed, threw a feint, but Shih Kien, with reflexes honed over decades, countered with a controlled palm strike that grazed Bruce's face, drawing a trace of blood. The moment passed in seconds, but Bruce's response was telling. He smiled, nodded, and called Shih Kien's technique sharp. Shih Kien, ever modest, later said, Bruce couldn't defeat experience. This wasn't about winning. It was about respect. The crew, witnessing this exchange, saw it as a symbol of their relationship. Youth meeting wisdom, speed meeting patience. This unrecorded sparring session captured the essence of their dynamic. Bruce was pushing martial arts into a global spotlight. His Jeet Kune Do a philosophy of adaptability and directness. Shih Kien, rooted in traditional forms, embodied endurance and precision. Their fight scene in Enter the Dragon, with Bruce's ferocity against Shih Kien's calm menace, wasn't just choreography. It was a visual dialogue of their philosophies. Shih Kien's presence grounded the set, his quiet confidence a counterpoint to Bruce's relentless drive. Crew members recalled how Shih Kien watched Bruce rehearse, his eyes filled with admiration, but tinged with concern. He saw a brilliance that burned too brightly, a fire that risked consuming its source. This tension, between Bruce's intensity and Shih Kien's restraint, set the stage for a relationship that went beyond the film, one that would reveal profound truths about both men. As Enter the Dragon took shape, their collaboration became a bridge between old and new. Bruce, the innovator, learned from Shih Kien's traditional techniques, while Shih Kien marveled at Bruce's ability to fuse martial arts with cinematic charisma. Their bond, built on respect and shared heritage, made their on-screen rivalry all the more powerful. But it was the off-screen moments, Those quiet exchanges of technique, philosophy, and familial warmth that truly defined their story, setting the foundation for the revelation Shih Kien would share decades later. The Fire and the Anchor. The production of Enter the Dragon in 1973 was a crucible, forging not just a film, but a legacy that would echo across generations. For Bruce Lee, it was a pinnacle of his vision, a chance to bring martial arts to the world through a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western storytelling. For Shih Kien, already a veteran with decades in Hong Kong's film industry, it was another chapter in a career defined by discipline and authenticity. Their collaboration was more than professional partnership. It was a meeting of two martial arts philosophies, each man representing a distinct approach to combat and life. Bruce's intensity burned like a comet, while Shih Kien's calm endurance anchored the set, creating a dynamic that shaped the film and their relationship. Shih Kien, at 60, was a living archive of Hong Kong cinema. His career began in the 1940s, a time when martial arts films were raw, unpolished, and deeply tied to traditional Chinese culture. Trained in Hung Gar and Choi Li Fut, Shih Kien brought an authenticity to his roles that made him a go-to villain. His movements were economical, his presence commanding without excess. Directors valued his ability to convey menace with a single glance or a subtle shift in stance. By the time he joined Enter the Dragon, he had mastered the art of saying more with less, a stark contrast to Bruce's explosive style. Bruce, at the height of his fame after The Big Boss and Fist of Fury, was a global icon returning to Hong Kong to redefine martial arts cinema. His Shih Kien Do was a rebellion against tradition, emphasizing speed, adaptability, and directness. Every scene in Enter the Dragon was a canvas for his philosophy, a chance to show the world that martial arts could be both art and truth. The set was a whirlwind of activity, blending American and Hong Kong crews in a high-stakes production. Long shooting days, intense fight choreography, and cultural differences created a challenging environment. Bruce, as star and co-choreographer, set a relentless pace. He arrived before dawn, stretching beside his car in the humid Hong Kong air, practicing kicks with a focus that bordered on obsession. Unlike other actors who conserved energy, Bruce treated every moment as training. Shih Kien, with his decades of experience, recognized this as both a strength and a potential flaw. He had seen performers push themselves to exhaustion, but Bruce's drive was different, a relentless quest of perfection that seemed to defy human limits. Between takes, the two found moments of connection. Over cups of tea, they discussed martial arts techniques, philosophy, and their shared history through Bruce's father, Li Hoi Chen, a Cantonese opera star Shih Kien had worked with years earlier. These conversations were more than casual. They were a bridge between generations. Bruce, ever curious, asked Shih Kien to demonstrate traditional spear forms or hand techniques, absorbing details with the hunger of a lifelong student. Shih Kien, in turn, marveled at Bruce's ability to fuse martial arts with cinematic charisma, creating a style that was both functional and mesmerizing. He didn't just act, Shih Kien later said. He lived his philosophy in every move. Yet, Shih Kien couldn't ignore the toll this pace took on Bruce. By mid-afternoon, Bruce's energy would falter. His movements remained precise, but his eyes betrayed exhaustion. Makeup artists worked to conceal the dark circles under his eyes, and Bruce would sit quietly, breathing deeply, before returning to set with renewed vigor. Shih Kien, who had endured countless long shoots, saw something unsettling in this rhythm. It wasn't just fatigue. It was an urgency that seemed to chase Bruce, as if he feared what would happen if he slowed down. He worked as if time was running out, Shih Kien later recalled, his words carrying a mix of admiration and concern. The climactic fight scene between Bruce and Shih Kien, set in Hans Mirrorlair, was a masterpiece of choreography. Bruce's speed and ferocity clashed with Shih Kien's calculated menace, creating a visual dialogue that transcended the script. Off-camera, their dynamic was just as compelling. Shih Kien's calm presence grounded Bruce's intensity, offering a counterpoint that enriched their collaboration. Crew members noted how Shih Kien watched Bruce rehearse, his eyes filled with respect but tinged with worry. He saw a brilliance that was undeniable but also a fire that risked burning out. This tension, between Bruce's relentless drive and Shih Kien's enduring calm, defined their time on set, setting the stage for deeper truths Shih Kien would later reveal. The uncle and nephew bond. The relationship between Bruce Lee and Shih Kien during the filming of Enter the Dragon was more than a professional collaboration. It was a bond steeped in cultural respect, shared history, and mutual admiration. On screen, they were fierce adversaries, with Bruce's heroically facing off against Shih Kien's sinister Han in a battle that would become iconic. Off-screen, their dynamic was familial, warm, and grounded in a connection that stretched back to the Hong Kong film industry of the 1940s. Bruce, the global superstar, called Shih Kien Uncle Kien, a title rooted in Chinese tradition that signified respect for an elder. Shih Kien, in turn, referred to Bruce as nephew, offering guidance with the gentle authority of a mentor. This uncle-nephew dynamic softened the intensity of the production, creating moments of connection that revealed the human side of two martial arts legends. Shih Kien's history with Bruce's father, Li Hoi-chen, was a foundation of their bond. Li Hoi-chen was a celebrated Cantonese opera performer and actor, a fixture in Hong Kong's early film scene, where Shih Kien had also made his mark. By the time Bruce joined Enter the Dragon, Shih Kien had known his family for decades, giving their interactions a layer of familiarity that transcended the set. Bruce, despite his fame, approached Shih Kien with deference, not as a co-star, but as an elder whose experience commanded respect. This dynamic was evident in their conversations between takes, where they discussed not just martial arts, but also discipline, endurance, and the balance between art and life. Shih Kien later recalled these moments with warmth, noting that Bruce was unbelievably hard-working, but always curious, always listening. Their exchanges often took place in quiet corners of the set, away from the chaos of cameras and crew. Over tea or during breaks, Shih Kien would share stories of his early days in the industry, when martial arts films were gritty and unpolished, performed without stunt doubles or special effects. Bruce, fascinated by this history, would ask about traditional techniques, eager to understand the roots of the art he was transforming. Shih Kien, for his part, was impressed by Bruce's ability to blend tradition with innovation, creating a style that was both functional and cinematic. He wanted truth in motion, Shih Kien said in a later interview, not just acting. This mutual respect shaped their collaboration, making their on-screen rivalry a powerful reflection of their off-screen harmony. The fight choreography in Enter the Dragon was a testament to their shared artistry. Bruce, as co-choreographer, designed sequences that showcased his speed and precision, while Shih Kien brought a grounded, deliberate quality to Han's movements. Their climactic battle, set in the mirrored lair, was more than a fight. It was a dialogue between two philosophies, Bruce's modern, explosive Jeet Kune Do against Shih Kien's traditional, patient forms. Crew members noted how Bruce would consult Shih Kien on certain moves, ensuring the choreography honored both their styles. This collaboration wasn't about ego. It was about creating something authentic, a fight that felt real because it was rooted in their mutual respect. Yet, Shih Kien couldn't help but notice the strain Bruce put on himself. The younger man's work ethic was relentless, rehearsal between takes, performing his own stunts, and pushing for perfection in every frame. Shih Kien, with decades of experience, recognized the dangers of this pace. He had seen actors burn out, injure themselves, or lose sight of balance under the pressures of filmmaking. Bruce, however, seemed to thrive on this intensity, as if rest was a betrayal of his purpose. During breaks, Shih Kien would offer gentle advice, suggesting Bruce conserve energy or take time to recover. "The body remembers every hour you don't let it rest," he once told Bruce, his tone more observation than warning. Bruce would smile, brush it aside, and return to his training, his focus unshaken. This dynamic revealed a deeper truth about their relationship. Shih Kien saw Bruce not just as a star, but as a young man carrying the weight of his own ambition. The uncle-nephew bond allowed Shih Kien to offer guidance without overstepping, and Bruce to listen without feeling judged. Their conversations, though brief, carried weight, moments of connection that Shih Kien would later reflect on with a mix of pride and sorrow. For Bruce, Shih Kien was a reminder of the endurance and wisdom that came with time, qualities he admired but struggled to embody. For Shih Kien, Bruce was a glimpse of what martial arts could become, a fusion of tradition and innovation that would inspire generations. Their bond, rooted in respect and shared heritage, made their collaboration on Enter the Dragon a defining moment not just for film, but for their legacies. The story of Bruce Lee and Shih Kien is more than a chapter in the history of Enter the Dragon. It's a profound narrative about respect, rivalry, and the human cost of greatness. Bruce Lee, with his electrifying energy and revolutionary vision, redefined martial arts and cinema, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire millions. Shih Kien, with his quiet wisdom and enduring discipline, offered a counterpoint, a reminder that true strength lies in balance, patience, and foresight. Their collaboration on Enter the Dragon wasn't just about creating a film. It was about two masters learning from each other, bridging tradition and innovation in a way that resonated far beyond the screen. Their story, revealed through Shih Kien's reflections near the end of his life, offers a deeper understanding of Bruce Lee, not just as a legend, but as a man wrestled with his own limits. Shih Kien's memories, particularly the haunting makeup room prophecy, revealed a side of Bruce that few saw, a man aware of his own mortality, yet unwilling to slow down. When Bruce spoke of not having a long life, his words carried a quiet conviction that stunned Shih Kien, a moment of vulnerability from a man known for invincibility. This exchange, kept private for decades, wasn't about predicting tragedy, but about revealing Bruce's self-awareness. He understood the cost of his relentless pace, yet his commitment to his philosophy, to live martial arts through every action, drove him forward. Shih Kien's decision to share this story was an act of reverence, a way to honor Bruce's complexity and humanity, showing that even legends carry burdens they cannot always share. Their collaboration reflected a broader dialogue between generations and philosophies. Bruce's Jeet Kune Do was a radical departure, stripping away tradition for efficiency and adaptability, a philosophy that mirrored his life's urgency. Shih Kien's traditional forms, rooted in Hung Gar and Choi Li Fut, emphasized discipline, patience, and endurance, qualities that allowed him to thrive in a demanding industry for decades. Their on-screen battle, set in Han's mirrored lair, was a visual metaphor for this contrast. Bruce's speed and ferocity against Shih Kien's calculated menace, youth against experience, innovation against tradition. Off-screen, their bond was built on mutual respect, with Bruce learning from Shih Kien's wisdom and Shih Kien marveling at Bruce's vision. This dynamic made Enter the Dragon more than a film. It was a cultural milestone, a testament to the power of collaboration across differences. The broader context of 1973 adds depth to their story. Hong Kong was a city at a crossroads, blending Eastern traditions with Western influences, much like Enter the Dragon itself. Bruce, who had grown up between Hong Kong and the United States, embodied this fusion, using his global perspective to craft a film that spoke to both audiences. Shih Kien, rooted in the traditional world of Cantonese opera and wuxia films, represented the heritage Bruce was both honoring and challenging. Their collaboration was a microcosm of this cultural moment, a dialogue between past and future that resonated with audiences worldwide. Shih Kien's stories of the old industry, tales of long shoots, minimal budgets, and performers who doubled as stuntmen, fascinated Bruce, who saw in him a link to his father's era and his own roots. Their story challenges us to reflect on our own pursuits. Bruce's life was a comet, bright, fleeting, and unforgettable, a testament to the power of pushing limits. Shih Kien's was a steady flame, burning quietly but enduring through time, a reminder that balance and patience are victories in themselves. Their collaboration teaches us that greatness comes in many forms, and that the greatest lessons often lie in the quiet moments of connection, not the spectacle of the fight. As we look back on Enter the Dragon, we see not just a film, but a meeting of two warriors whose respect for each other transcended their differences. Their legacy endures in the philosophy they shared, that martial arts, at its core, is about understanding oneself and others, pushing boundaries while honoring the wisdom of those who came before. So, what do you think? Was Bruce Lee's greatest challenge another fighter, or was it the relentless pace he set for himself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective on this incredible story. If this deep dive into the lives of Bruce Lee and Shih Kien moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more explorations of martial arts, cinema, and the legends who shaped them. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a defining moment in film history. Until next time, keep training, keep learning, and keep pushing your own limits. But don't forget to rest. We'll see you in the next video.